Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Steve Walters here with Man Cave Sports. I'm with Mike Letourneau, and we are with the one, the only Mr. Viking himself, Hub Meeds. Mr. Meeds was the Vikings mascot from 1970 to 1992. Actually, interesting story about that. You went to Super Bowl IV, right? With Vikings Chiefs?
Right. Was that at New Orleans? Yep.
You had the helmet. You had the...
Actually, I didn't have any of this.
Really? Okay.
My brother-in-law had rented costumes, and they were a bunch of rags and a helmet, and they gave me a spear, just a stick for a spear. That was my sword at the time. And these costumes were terrible. We came to the stadium with tickets. Guy opens up the gate, and that went straight down to the field. So we went down the field. Guy opens up that gate. Here we're on the sidelines with these two crummy costumes. So we had to make it look good, make it look like we belonged there. They never kicked us out. We followed the game on the sidelines, right on the edge for the whole game. Nobody said a word. It's the way I kind of make it look like us. We're really doing our job, you know.
So, and how old, if you don't mind me asking, how old were you at the time?
Probably 32, maybe.
32. So this wasn't even like a crazy, early 20s thing. This was.
No. That's the truck driver.
Oh yeah, that'll do. Well, you look like you. I mean, we're just looking through these different images that are scrolling across the screen here, and you could tell you were throwing on some heavy equipment or something back in those days, huh?
Right. Yep. We did a lot of work on moving stuff out of a trailer.
Okay. So you went to the Super Bowl. Then how did that develop into a full-time gig with the Vikings?
I wrote him a letter and told him about what happened down there and asked if I could do it on the sidelines, and they said yes, just like that. So we made up a costume, rented some, and then made up my own costume and went from there. And by the way, the shield was a kid's saucer that I found in the dump. And it was actually dented like that. So I pounded out as much as I could and then put those rivets in it. And my neighbor painted it up for me.
Nice.
That's awesome. Now, I saw, and I don't know if this is true or not, because with everything on the internet nowadays, the sword was that you ultimately ended up using was from like 1888. You got like an auction?
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Paid $20 for it, I think, bidding for it. I didn't have much money back then. I was lucky to get it for $20. So other guys bidding on it, and he finally quit. There was two different swords we were bidding on, and I ended up with that one because the guy quit bidding. But I didn't have much money to bid on anything back then.
1888. Wow.
But it was in a costume shop that was selling it. So who knows what they used it for.
Okay.
But it was a nice looking sword.
Well, yeah, we're about to go across the screen. That's pretty cool.
So the costume, you pretty much kept most of the attire, the hat, the sword, throughout your duration as in that role?
Yeah, made a few changes with the furs and the boots and the arm guards.
So
a little better.
So I think you had mentioned when you arrived here, Hub, that you did some traveling as well. Talk a little bit about how often you would go on road games or any memories from that.
Well, my first game out of town was at Green Bay. And
I'm sorry. My apologies.
and so after that, we did that on our own. We took the motorhome down and tailgated, and I was on the field down there. Of course, got a lot of homers and stuff, but made it through. And then the Vikings called me up when I was doing a promotion on a Saturday in the afternoon. Wanted to know if I wanted to go to New York with them for a game. And of course I did, but I had to finish what I was doing there. And so they got me a private flight. Well, it was commercial, but it was alone by myself out to New York. Wow. And then a separate flight to New Haven, Connecticut, where the game was being played because the Giants stadium was being redone or something. So that was my first game there, and we lucky to get out of there. There was a snowstorm, and when started taking off in Viking charter, the plane was going back and forth on the field on the runway, slipping back and forth. We finally got in the air, and everybody gave a hand, but they were tied up for 2 days afterwards for a northeast storm out there.
Wow.
So that was my first one. But then every year they offered me a game out of town on my choice. So I picked which nice warm ones in November. So I got to go to 22 different stadiums.
Wow.
And I was in the old one in England.
Wembley?
Wembley.
Wow.
Yeah, I got a picture of that. And then a couple of years later, I think they took the whole team to Sweden. Everybody to Sweden. So we were there for a whole week, my wife and I, for a vacation for that game.
Oh, wow.
And then, of course, there was the 4 Super Bowls. My wife and I got to go to the next 3 with the team. Well, you're pretty much, team went ahead of time, and then all the office staff and everybody went separate. But we're all in the same hotels and stuff. So that was really nice. But those Super Bowls, they had parties like you wouldn't believe what the NFL puts on for promotion and for all the press and everything else, and all the bigwigs that come. So they had some dandies. The one down in Texas was in the old Superdome. It's called the Superdome back then.
Yeah.
I tore that one down.
Yep.
Well, anyway, they had the party the night before in the whole floor of the stadium, and all the way around they had bars. and then a big stage on the end, and Charlie Pride sang up there, and then they had all these tables with all the food. But when you came in through the gate, they had a couple of these great big longhorn cattle that were right there where you came in, and you had to go in you couldn't wear any, were supposed to wear Western style clothes. That was in Houston. So a huge party.
Okay.
But that's what they did before the Super Bowls. They had these big parties.
Is that what happened? Is that we had too much fun before the Super Bowl and then
Yeah. So,
Well, the players weren't there.
oh.
Like even the coaches weren't there, but a lot of the office staff would be there. And a lot of other people that you know. And then you see all these different players from back. I met
Bobby Night Train Lane?
Yeah,
Ooh,
got his autograph.
that's cool.
Yeah, it was all different ones. Howard Cosell and all those guys were there.
Just football royalty, huh?
It was unreal. Yeah.
So, Hub, I know as we're looking at the clips, Metropolitan Stadium was known for being very cold, and Bud wouldn't have heaters on the sideline, if I'm not mistaken. Talk about how difficult that was to navigate being out there in your attire on those freezing cold games.
Oh, I had a little extra on my horn. But you keep moving around, you stay warm. As cold as it was, I never got cold. I never put on long underwear till maybe the last couple games or something, but otherwise you kept warm from just moving and going into all the cheers and stuff. And the players, I think the same way, they didn't seem to bother them. They practiced out there every day out there on that field. They had one side where they worked, they had practice outside. That was their only practice field back then.
I got a question for you. What was the worst what was the Super Bowl loss that you took the hardest yourself? Like, which one did you really like, hey, we got this one, and it's like kind of a gut punch?
They were so close. When you're down there with the players, you feel like you're part of it. Tarkenton's second game, though, he wasn't very happy. He wouldn't give no autographs or nothing.
Oh, wow.
After losing the second one he wasn't. That was probably at the Rose Bowl. I don't remember, but anyway, he wasn't too happy over that one. Otherwise, the one before that, he's coming through the hotel, and I got my hands full of shrimp and stuff going to my room for my wife, and he comes going to shake hands with me here. Shrimp. So
End up giving him the shrimp hand.
yeah, it's kind of embarrassing, you know.
So I'm assuming you were there for most games. In fact, I know for like the Hail Mary versus Cleveland back, I believe it was 1980, the Hail Mary game in 75 where Drew Pearson absolutely pushed off. Tell us your recollection of some of those types of games. And
hey, we had that game made. It's crazy. Wow, everybody's heading for the locker room because we figured the fans were going to come down and mob us. So I'm heading towards the bar, and then the last thing, there goes the pass, and all of a sudden the game is over. And it was just really a letdown because, you know, thinking this is another Super Bowl, and all of a sudden that long pass and it was over. Of course, then they had a big row when the ref got hit by the bottle.
Did you witness that?
And I was in the middle of the field, and that was down at the other end.
Okay.
I was ready to get out of there because I knew it was going to happen. It wouldn't been the first time I got caught.
And then when Ahmad Rashad caught the pass from Tommy Kramer, you were right. You were right there.
Right there. Yeah, that was great.
In 22 years of hanging out on the sidelines there and doing what you were doing, was there one team in particular that you thought was the best, like the most talented? That, you know, we got all these legendary players over the years with Krause and the Purple People Eaters and Ahmad and Tommy, and, you know, throughout the years, was there one team in particular that stood out to you that you thought was probably the best that you'd seen?
Well, it was 4 Super Bowl teams, and a little bit after that, you always thought, boy, those guys were all the best, you know. And then as they were leaving, and so we end up all new players, and then it never seemed the same, you know. You're just hoping for you're going to have another bunch, you know. Tommy was really kind of, you know, that look forward to it with him, thinking we'd get a Super Bowl. But
yeah, they had some real nice teams with Jerry Burns in the late 80s.
yeah.
Talk about the interactions with the coaches. Obviously, I'm sure you got to know Bud fairly well, Coach Burns.
You don't really get to know them too well. They talk to you, but you don't really get to be their best friend or anything, you know.
You weren't pen pals?
No payment.
Okay.
You know, I don't go to their house, and they don't come to mine, you know.
Any players that stand out in particular? I believe you were there when they honored Paul Krause for getting in the Hall of Fame. Any special memories of that, especially a lot of the players that were there during your era that ended up in the Hall of Fame and stuff like that, Vikings Ring of Honor?
So many of them that I really liked, you know. Bill Brown and Cox. Freddie Cox, when they had this thing for all the players that were in the Super Bowl, they were all on this wagon. And Cox was sick. They didn't think he'd make it to this game for that halftime. Anyway, he was up on the wagon with the rest of them. I'm going along shaking hands with him and said hello to him, and he gets up, comes over and shakes my hand. Freddie Cox did. He died a few days later.
Wow.
But
Jeez.
I thought, oh, Freddie, he was having trouble getting around, and then to do that, that was really something.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
I know 15 years ago, in fact, we just know yesterday was the anniversary when the Metrodome collapsed. And it was coincided around the time that they were going to honor the 50 greatest Vikings 50-year anniversary. And they brought them into TCF Bank Stadium on a Monday night game against the Bears, I believe. I know you were at that game. Do you have any fond memories of seeing all the old Vikings and after you'd been gone for some time?
Oh yeah, yep. It's fun seeing them all. Nice.
So with the getting into, we'll loop all the way back around here. So how did you decide to go down to the Super Bowl? Were you just a big fan of the Vikings? Like when this all got started, and it was your brother, correct?
Yeah.
And you and your brother-in-law. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're like, we're going to go down, we're going to dress up, and we're going to go.
It's crazy how it happened. We were at that last playoff game, and my brother-in-law had the seats. And after we won the game, to get the Super Bowl tickets, they had to go to the other side of the stadium and line up. And they were $15 a piece, and he got 4 of them. And then when he got onto a flight to go down there with a bunch of people in St. Paul, and we wanted to do something. So my brother-in-law had a shop right next to this costume shop. So he went in and rented these 2 crummy costumes. So we got down to New Orleans, wore them in New Orleans, and raised hell with these costumes on. And then went to the game, and of course, they let us in with those costumes on. But this was all of a sudden, wanted to do something when we're there, and all of a sudden you thought it up. Let's get costumes.
So this really was there was
nobody in a costume way back then. Nobody. The year before, apparently there had been this big, tall basketball player that dressed up for a couple of games in a Viking thing, pretty much. But that was all there was. Nobody dressed up in the stands with anything. I mean, not like they do now. So costume went over good.
Apparently, a spur of the moment fun thing to do turned into 22 years.
Yeah.
Well, now it's pretty common. You got Sid, Sir Death. You got a lot of notable Vikings fans that you created the trend, so to speak.
Yes, yeah.
And kids today would say you went viral.
The thing was, I went all the time. I was outside and some on the inside without getting paid. Never asked for no money. And I got into everything they were doing, Christmas parties, anything that was going on, I got into. And there's no way I'm going to ask for any money for doing this. And then when he got Crazy George came out, I don't know if you remember him, he had a drum. And they brought him in for a couple games, and fans heard that they paid $1,000 for him to come to the game. And the fans were furious because they knew I didn't get paid. So all of a sudden the Vikings were paying me with probably maybe $100 a game or something, but nothing to,
Well, and I believe after you, Ragnar, he abruptly left the team because of a money dispute, if I recall correctly.
Asked for $100,000 for a season. Nope, there's no way I was asking for any money. I was having too much fun.
Oh, I hear you. Just all those different experiences you're talking about, from a spur of the moment, kind of just a fun thing to do, and then the rest of your life you've been involved. I mean, you're in the Vikings Museum. You're on the cover of what it was, the 1973 stadium guide, the fan guide that they did. I mean, that's really impressive.
Just think about it, how much it would cost you to fly with the team, even if they'd let you fly with the team, and then stay with them, everything all paid for. Same with the Super Bowls. My wife and I, for 3 days at those Super Bowls, a whole week in Sweden paid for it.
Oh,
and so there's no way you could possibly pay for any of that. I was a truck driver getting free rides.
There you go. So, Hub, we see you got some of the artifacts here. Obviously, your helmet. You want to talk about the ring?
This is the same Super Bowl ring that all the players get, and This is the one from the Rose Bowl. So that was the 4th Super Bowl that the Vikings were in. I seen a copy of one from the year before, which was a nice one too, but this seems to be the best one that the Vikings players got. So it came from Bud Grant that I would get one too. So
Wow.
it's quite an honor.
That is,
They put your name on the side and it says mascot. Down below it says Super Bowl 11, and the year on top is 1976, and it's got NFL on the side, and it's worth quite a bit of money now. Actually, they made them for $500 back then. It was 50 years ago that they came out from the Super Bowl.
that is, it's impressive just to see how big those things are. I mean, like you see them on TV and, Tom Brady and all these people that get their rings on it, but then just
see it in person,
see it in person up close. I'm kind of gobsmacked right now. I'm like, oh my God, Super Bowl ring.
It's got 7 diamonds in there, and each one is for one of the playoff games that they won.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
That's what they counted out for that.
Wow.
So it was a reason why they had the 7 diamonds in there.
That is really cool. Like I said, I'm a little kid right now. I'm like, oh my God, sitting so close to a ring.
See if it fits.
Oh, wow. Good thing I'm not too swollen.
Oh, smart man didn't put it on your ring finger.
Yeah, he couldn't come back.
Yeah, that one won't come back. But look, Ma, I made it. This is really cool. Thank you, sir. This is impressive stuff. So the helmet, was this part of the original, one of the original costumes they rented? Did you made this one?
No, none of the stuff that we rented could you possibly use in a costume. It was just mostly looked like rags. And so this was, I had a real nice helmet that was kind of like fiberglass or something. And somebody lent it out to someone and never came back. So got this one made up. I got these horns from South St. Paul, and they used to
do the cattle
down there, yeah. And then my neighbor made up this metal frame in here, and then you got to put in padding. Otherwise, it's kind of hard on the head.
Get the old helmet liners in there. For somebody like me that, I've grown up a Vikings fan. My dad was a Vikings fan, and the bleeding purple and all that. It's so cool just to, be sitting here with you and, seeing all this memorabilia and stuff and listening to the stories. I'm like, like I said, I'm like kind of geeked out here. This is really cool. I mean, like, all the years of watching, and Mike here is in the cave. He's got wall-to-wall Vikings and stuff. So we're big fans. So this is really really a special honor and a treat for us to be able to sit down and talk with you.
Well, thank you. But I always figured I was a fan on the field. I mean, that was nothing else but that as a fan on the field doing my job. I always felt like I gotta, keep the fans going,
Yeah. Very important part of many great Vikings teams.
Yeah.
Well,
it actually was easy because the fans were all into it anyway, so it made my job easy.
And you talked about how you traveled with the team at least one game a year. Did you ever get heckled too bad by the opposing fans?
Oh, yes. Actually, at the Super Bowl, Rose Bowl, our whole side is all mixed with all, stars and everything else. So I went on the other side where the Raiders fans were, and I started going over and going like this to them, and they start hollering boo-hoo. So I took my horn, it looks like a thing you can hear with. So I go like this to them, and
kind of like Hulk Hogan.
So I got all these boos. Hey, I did my job.
Was there one opposing fan base that was the most fun to interact with, or maybe on the flip side, there was one that you really didn't like to have to go interact with?
I was worried about a lot of them on the road, but most of them were nice. I mean, everybody was nice on the fields, and even the cheerleaders. So it was good. And the guys that worked the sidelines, they'd always talk to me. It was kind of nice. Otherwise, I didn't have any trouble on the road.
It's good.
Yep.
Even in Philadelphia?
I didn't go to Philadelphia.
Okay, probably a good decision.
I wouldn't go to New York again either. No, that New York was terrible. That game was, it was starting to snow. There's snowballs coming.
Oh, wow.
And then they started throwing whiskey bottles and everything else.
Oh, jeez.
The thing was there that the game was changed from Yankee Stadium. Is that Yankee Stadium? Where the Giants played? Anyway, they moved up to New Haven, Connecticut on I think it's Harvard maybe field. And it was all young guys. And so they're raised hell. There I am, and I put out my shield and I'm getting hit.
Good thing it was an actual snow saucer. I got some real metal for you.
Yeah. Anyway, they were throwing stuff, and then after the game, they flooded the field. Somebody grabbed my helmet, and luckily one of our players grabbed it back again. Otherwise, my helmet would have been gone. But there was like 2 inches of snow on the field before the game was over, and what you call from North Dakota, he was a running back, and he could run flat-footed. So go around the end, no one could catch it because it was so slippery. What's his name?
Osborne.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. North Dakota. So he was used to running in the snow. So that was kind of funny that they were so mad. They thought that the Giants were going to be in the playoffs that year, and we beat them in the snow. They weren't too happy.
Bet not. Well, Mr. Meeds, we really appreciate you coming out on another cold day. As you said, we can see here you've had some experience with the cold, and it's another cold, chilly Minnesota day. Before you go, though, the best part of this whole experience with this, and it's a lifelong experience, like you said, that kind of started with a spur of the moment action. The best part, maybe it's a moment, the best feeling that, whatever was going on there, like what was the best for you there?
Best part of doing it? You mean? It was nice being recognized, and making people happy when you're greeting them and stuff. I always like talking to the fans, and I think that was mostly the best part was, having parties with the fans and going around to all their tailgates. They like and get pictures taken with them. It was a lot of fun, really.
Well, Hub, it was a pleasure to meet you. We appreciate you coming to the Man Cave.
Thank you.
We enjoyed having you.
Me.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, this is like I said, is a real treat for me as big Vikings fan, and so appreciate you taking your time out to come visit with us here at the Man Cave, and we'll have to get down and take a look at the pieces they have of you in the Vikings Museum.
Okay, yeah. Good.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, sir. We appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming out.
You're welcome.
Back to
A friend of mine, she grew up where Ragnar's from, and just like she was trying to make excuses for him when he got all that bad publicity. Because remember, he went on TV and like he was with a cheese head, and it was just like that. Honestly, a lot of Vikings fans, myself included, were like, "Oh, that was like the total insult to Vikings fans."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that's your death now, bud. We don't want you back anymore.
So I tried out after doing the same trial.
I have a photo of the helmet.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. If you didn't autograph these? Oh, I'm sure. Okay.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
Steve, you want to take some photos?
He's too big for me.
Let's see if you can't get these. We'll post
He's too big for me.
Up here too on the wall.
Tell you what. Oh my God, that's so cool. Thanks, Hub. That's awesome.
Are you a killer in that? Playing football?
You guys got more of these, all right? So this is no problem.
You have more of those, right?
Yeah.
Can we have you autograph these?
Sure.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll get one. You're going up on the Man Cave wall. I got to figure out how to make room, but I'm pretty sure I can get you right up here.
That was very interesting.
Just anywhere, I guess, right there. Actually, I want this one, so if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't care. That's just fine.
Yes,
I was going to call
yeah.
dibs on
Yeah.
it, but I didn't want to be.
We're gonna skip.